Hey guys, welcome to the Talk and Roll Express episode 16, the Nitro of June 10th, 1996. WCW Monday Nitro, also known as WCW Nitro or simply Nitro, is a professional wrestling television program that was produced by World Championship Wrestling and broadcast weekly every Monday night on TNT from September 4th, 1995 to March 26th, 2001, when WCW's assets were purchased by the WWF. For its entirety, the program went head-to-head with the World Wrestling Federation's WWF, now WWE Monday Night Raw.
Right, guys. Initial impressions of this episode, I guess.
It was a head fuck. Because it came up, it said it was an hour and a half. I'm like, oh sweet, it's an hour and a half. And then Tony Schiavone's like, oh yeah, we got 2 hours of wrestling tonight. It's like, no, you've only got an hour and a half. Yeah. But that's because I remembered television has adverts in the middle.
Yeah. Like a 3-hour Raw is about 5 minutes.
Yeah, just when you cut out all the promos and the ad breaks for Superstar, Cookie, Dough, Cream, Bollocks on your ass. But I enjoyed this, not least for the fact that, again, it was like the prequel, so you saw the Giant, and you saw, you know, Dave Taylor and William Regal and Redacted.
Yeah.
With long hair.
Yeah, the commentary team, because this is really unlike anything we've heard before. What did you guys make of Larry Zbyszko and Tony Schiavone?
It was a nice change of pace for me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say it as well. I quite liked it, and I liked it was different. It's been a while since I've listened to both of them on commentary, and as you alluded to as well, Ollie, with the fact that it was a quote-unquote 2 hours. The show was split in two, so you had two different commentary teams.
Yeah, I found that.
I forgot Nitro used to do that.
Yeah, they just restart the program an hour in.
I find that really weird. It felt like you were watching fucking Sunday Night Heat, and then the main event straight after one-on-one. It was quite weird, but
it must have worked for them.
I think it works for me as well, because I know that I can tune in. Say it starts at 8, I can tune in at 9. You've got your Stings, your Ric Flairs, your Arn Andersons, and you've got people like Bischoff on commentary, and you know you're going to get bang on 9 o'clock, you're going to get the good stuff.
Yeah, it was also like the way they set the things up in the first half as well. Nothing seemed forced and convoluted that I feel that Raw is at times. And it opened with a match. No a big lengthy 20-minute promo, just a match, and a good match at that.
Oh, yeah, well, I just wanted to say ahead of time, there's the kind of the previously on with segment with Scott Hall, where it kind of addresses what happened in last week's episode of Nitro. As somebody who never really, I haven't, spoiler alert, I haven't watched a whole lot of Nitro at all. My WCW knowledge is kind of limited at best. I was quite surprised how, we often hear the kind of the jokes made about Nitro. Now everything was kind of jumbled, everything was kind of booked on the fly. There's a very, very nice kind of tapestry with, this year's kind of bookings in that, where it's like storylines and, there's trailers in the middle and that for Rey Mysterio versus Dean Malenko at the Great American Bash, and, Big Sean Tenta and Big Bubba Rogers and that. There's a very nice kind of back and forth kind of, the pacing, it feels very much jogging in place.
I like the Glacier promos.
See, I was going to save that for later on, but I'll address it now. The minute the techno voice kicked in and there was the kind of the Japanese text, I thought, is this Jushin Thunder Liger? Is this Ultimo Dragon? And then it came up Glacier, and I leapt out of my chair. I couldn't contain myself.
I had to Google Glacier because I thought, Glacier is just someone who's then become someone. No, he was Glacier, and apparently his intros, they cost like $500,000 to throw.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that successful a career with the WCW.
Yeah, it was amazing. Eric Bischoff must have watched Mortal Kombat the movie in his sleep, and he as soon as decided I want Sub-Zero, until he realised that you can't actually use a character from a film without paying the production company an allocated copyright fee.
I'm pretty sure there was a story where there's actually plans to have him in the game, and I don't know if Mortal Kombat turned around and said, he is. Stop fucking ripping our characters off.
No wonder they went out of fucking business, man. No wonder they went out of fucking business.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, I did watch a lot of WCW, especially around about 97, bits from 96, but mostly 97, and I seen Glacier for the first time at Uncensored 97, and they fought Mortis, who had later become Canyon. And Mortis comes out with this big fucking mask and he's painting all that like Shang Tsung basically. Then Glacier comes out like not Sub-Zero. And I remember thinking to myself, this is one of the first WCW pay-per-views I've seen in the then modern era, because that's when I'd watched it. I went, this is amazing. I've never seen production like this. It's so good, incredible. And the match started.
Well, getting into kind of the slightly nonsensical booking, there's the tease for Great American Bash '96 versus Big John Tenta versus Big Bubba Rogers, and the whole setup is Big John Tenta's livid because Big Bubba Rogers shaved him bald. And I was watching it thinking, you are fucking bald. You have no hair on top. Like, all he did was cut the sides. If anything, he tidied it up.
Yeah, his WCW career lasted like 2 years.
Yeah.
There's that story as well when he wanted to be called, he was going to call him Tiger. So he got this big tiger tattoo on his arm. And then Bischoff said, I'm going to call you Shark instead. And they tried to get like a touch-up and cover up of the tattoo, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, tries to put a fin on top of the tiger's head.
Tiger Shark.
Tiger Shark, there we go. That's our one per episode. Right, getting into, we might as well jump into the first match, which is Booker T versus Scott Steiner. It's not lost on me that this was actually the last match of the last ever Nitro in 2001. I wasn't expecting this right out of the gate. Booker T is jacked during this. Like, he is just as big as Scott Steiner.
He's a big man.
But
it's weird because I heard the obviously the intro music for Booker T, and I couldn't place it on who it was because I didn't hear "Can You Dig It, Sucker." Well, I was just like, this is familiar. Who's this? It's like one half of Harlem Heat. And I'm like, oh yeah, oh fuck, it's Booker T.
Yeah. I did recognise the Harlem Heat music, then the kind of generic 90s jobber music, and I thought, who's this guy waiting to get chewed out by Booker T? And then Scott Steiner walked out.
Big pumper pump.
Yeah, he's repping that mullet.
And this was also sorry?
It's just looking back on it, I can't recognise Scott Steiner without wearing a chainmail.
Exactly. But this is also a time when Steiner he was incredibly jacked, he could still move at this stage of his career.
This was an incredibly agile matchup. Two guys of this size, their stuff looked stiff. Like when they were hitting one another, you could tell they were really laying it in. But I think by this point they had worked together so much that it was just, there wasn't like it was being done with any malicious intent. But yeah, like Booker T's doing the big jump kicks in the air and that, and it was wonderful to watch. As far as first impressions of Nitro go, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a good opening match. I think we've been spoiled over the last two episodes. The fact we've had two such strong opening matches as well. I do think we actually need to be brought back down to earth.
The only thing that ruins it is at the end is Mongo's wife interrupting the Scott Steiner post-match interview, which we should have more post-match interviews.
I like that, man. There was like a post-match football feel to it, like people with that sponsor board. But I want to have them more like football and just be like, yeah, we had a good wrestling match today. We weren't really races, and we'll come back again stronger next week. All right, cheers.
But then I was thinking, if that was TNA era Scott Steiner and Mongo's wife interrupted it, he would have had a meltdown live. He would have talked about like just pivoting her head 63 degrees off her body and that. I mean, it would have been glorious to watch. It really would have been.
It would have saved TNA.
I just need to touch on this quickly though, regarding the intro package. Like I said, I was a big fan of Nitro. I watched Nitro and Raw during the Monday Night Wars because I didn't live in America, and we got it on like Sky Sports and TNT and Friday at different times, so you could watch like one. I think you'd watch them back to back, if I remember. And I didn't have Sky, so people would just take them from anywhere. It was great, and it was weird watching the intro and seeing Hogan with the red and yellow. I just never associate Hogan, like the Hulkster, as Nitro, and even when you see clips of him walking out, it just looked weird.
Well, they have, they do have the trailer right before the main event. Of course, they have to show him beating up my man. But
that's all they showed.
Yeah, just bitch slapping him.
And of course, you know why that was done, right? Because the Fed had just signed Leon. Because at this point the Vader-Shawn feud was gearing up, whereas this is only a couple of months removed from SummerSlam. So I have to think like the internal booking communities, the rats were talking to one another. It's like, right, bury Vader on TV. Make sure that Hogan squashed him.
No doubt. Probably.
Yeah.
Especially the footage of Edge Joey, you just something called slapping him.
He's like paint rushing him as well. It's embarrassing. But I think we can skip match 2, DDP versus Jim Powers. There wasn't really much to.
I think there's a lot to talk about. The fact that there was a guy called Jim Powers.
Yeah.
The whole way through, it was just a case of, is it spelled Jim or Gym? I really have to know, is this guy just called Jim Powers?
That man was on his vitamins, brother. Right, match number 3, Meng versus Sting. It doesn't last for very long. It's quite a short match. I hate to be the agent that had to tell, okay, Meng, Sting's going to go over in 4 minutes. You're barely going to get an offense.
Yeah.
It is bizarre to see Sting. He's just so synonymous now with that crow makeup.
Yeah.
I remember, like I said, I watched the rest of Nitro at this time, and seeing Sting in the crow makeup, I was really taken aback by it. It was bizarre, because Sting was always one of my favourite wrestlers. You're right, though, watching it back now, it's like, wow.
Yeah, he used to look like that, man.
Yeah,
I suppose it's as well. Is his hair's not bleach blonde?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just going to say, Ollie, it's quite interesting you mentioned Ultimate Warrior Jr. They do actually have an official Ultimate Warrior Jr. working at WCW this time called the Renegade. You don't even see his face in this episode. It's like the back of him getting put in the figure 4 leg lock. Immediately after this, it's the trailer for Rey Mysterio versus Dean Malenko at the Great American Bash. I think it's quite funny that, with the benefit of retrospect, WCW's always been accused of being like the people that buried the underneath talent. They buried the Cruiserweights. The Cruiserweights get their own, full-length trailer during this. I thought that.
I think
Bishop, I listen to Bishop's podcast quite a lot, and he's always defending this. He's always saying, I was the guy that got accused of burying the Cruiserweights and doing this, Y, and Z. But he also highlights how much time he dedicated to these guys. There's a reason Nitro won 83 weeks on the trot. There's also a reason Nitro lost and WCW went out of business. That's another story. But there's a reason that they were doing so successful, because they knew what they were doing. And Bischoff, for all his faults, people can say what they want about him, he produced a cracking TV show.
Yeah, I think the overrunning theme in this, for me, is a case of how well put together this show is. I think it's just the fact that WCW went out of business because they can put a show together, but they cannot spend money properly. Like just referring to Glacier, that they spent $35,000 on his outfit and $500,000 just to bring him out. Like, that's, even if you do it for a bit a year, that's a couple of $1 million. Do
you know the real reason WCW was the actual legitimate final nail in the coffin?
Was it the AOL Time Warner merger? They couldn't find another network.
It was a business decision. I mean, as much as our booking was crap and things were going off the rails, it was basically the AOL Time Warner merger, and it ousted Ted Turner for Control, and somebody just looked at the books and went, why are we doing this? And scrapped it, because Ted Turner was...
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. It's not necessarily exciting, but yeah, basically it was a corporate decision.
Jesus.
It's always the suits, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wrestling on our network? I don't think so, Burrow.
Which is funny, considering how redneck WCW is.
And considering just how high WWF's ratings were at the time. I mean, 2000 best year WWF ever did. And again, it's quite funny again, because ECW is different a product as it was, died for the exact same reason. Couldn't find a network in time.
Yeah.
It's again drastic. So again, halfway through this episode, there's a world title defense, which is a bit jarring. Scott Flash Norton versus the Giant. Now, I know Shawn Michaels was WWF champ and the Giant was WCW champ at the same. For some reason, my brain can't compute that. I don't believe that they were the same the two world champions at the same time. That's a really weird logical jump.
I personally believe the Big Show should have held both at the same time.
Yeah.
Bread should have been broken between the two companies to give the Big Show both belts at the same time. That is all I have to say on the matter.
Wow. Shit.
That's a great answer, actually. I'm sort of amazed I didn't. I'm so angry now I didn't come up with that. That's good. You think both these companies could still be thriving had they just agreed to do what Ring of Honor and New Japan had done, just do once a year crossover show, best of both. For the egos.
I mean, to be honest, we got the best of both worlds crossover shows for a few years.
I wouldn't call Invasion a great crossover.
No, when you started to get all the proper superstars coming through. I'm not talking about when like Buff Bagwell and the Yeti faced off for the WCW TV title on Monday Night Raw.
I thought you were going to talk about the Survivor Series 2001, like the last stand of the invasion, like WCW. But like, who needs Goldberg? All right, we got Chuck Palumbo. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
let's make money here. All right.
Chuck Palumbo had quite a career though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he done no bad.
He was a biker and everything.
Yeah, they gave him Undertaker's gimmick.
And again, the invasion angle just didn't have the contracts. They legally couldn't bring these guys in. It wasn't even a kind of case like people saying, "I'm not coming" type thing. They just didn't own them.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have bought some of them in, but a lot of the guys were just like, "Nah, I'm going to sit there and get paid $1 million."
And
until 2003, which is completely fair enough, to be honest.
And obviously Sting just didn't want to come because he didn't like the sort of the, shall we say, more kind of frat boy humour of WWF at the time. That was the big thing that didn't.
The smartest of them all.
Oh yeah.
Also, look at the way Sting elevated TNA's profile just by being there.
Right, and see, I just want to talk about the end of Scott Flash Norton versus the Giant. Of course, there's the run-in by Lex Luger. This was what I was always worried about, was the world title would end in a big schmoz run-in. Now, all through this episode of Nitro, there's been a buffet table set up right beside the gate, and I'm thinking this is the most out of place thing I've ever seen. What is, because it has to factor it. It's like the old Winchester from Shaun of the Dead. It has to come into play at some point.
Yeah.
And of course, what is it used for? It's used so that Lex Luger can throw watermelon at the Big Show.
I just look, because the whole while through you're looking at it like, yeah, what the fuck is this for? Why is there just not even like a nice table of food? It's just like a fold out table with some food on it. And you're like, was this always part of Monday Nitro? Did during the post match interview that they'd get fed grapes or something? And then when Lex Luger comes out and starts to like throw fucking chicken in the Big Show's face, I'm still like, I don't understand why this is.
Yeah. But here's the weird that, like, it ends with the Giant just screaming and saying, "Lex Luger, I'm going to come get you," and then it cuts to Lex Luger at the commentary desk. It's like, yeah, it's right there.
I thought that was weird, and also his screaming was really bizarre. Yeah. I was like, is he okay? Is he cracked at this point? But I'm also like, why can't he see where Lex Luger is? He's standing right there.
It's like he's right in front of you.
You need to pass him to get to the locker room.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole idea you were saying there, it's like it's called Chekhov's gun. Anton Chekhov devised this literary device. This guy's like the Russian Shakespeare. It said if you're going to show a gun in the second act, make sure it goes off in the third act. And you can probably still hear him spinning in his grave. Yeah. This was used for a food fight angle on Nitro.
See, I like to think that table was absolutely stacked to the brim, and like just the fans would like reach over the barricade and were like kind of clawing like all the fruit in that, and they had to send somebody out to just sort of.
Did you see some of the clientele in attendance? I would not be surprised if they were pinching.
Well, we've got something absolutely delightful next, which is match number 6, Billy Kidman versus Lord Steven Regal.
No.
Just shoot on your man Steven Regal.
We've missed.
We've missed.
We've missed Dave Taylor against Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh God, that was right before Scott.
Again, it's just the most gooey fucking hillbilly angle ever. It's just a case of, here's a British guy, fuck him. Here's a guy with an American flag. He's the best thing that's ever fucking happened.
It took me this long to realise that Hacksaw Jim Duggan and The Godfather both got over by screaming "ho."
See, if Hacksaw Jim Duggan was a wrestler today, they'd make him, I don't know, be a heel or a face, depending on the promotion maybe. He'd wear a MAGA hat. He wouldn't have a Super Bowl. He'd have an AK-47, and he'd come to the ring just shouting, USA, USA.
He'd be a heel MAGA guy with just the biggest face pops ever. It's like we were saying, if you brought back Nation of Domination, even like try to make them the good guys, the face guys, they would get booed out of every fucking building they walked into. Well, they would have to be escorted out of there.
Look at the current storyline they're doing, Retribution. This Antifa style gang attacking Raw, smashing things up. They're the bad guys.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a little on the nose, Vince.
he's that close to being self-aware though. Like I was reading, I was doing my weekly kind of reread of Bret Hart's book, not long ago, and he's talking about how when he was pitching to Bret the whole anti-USA pro-Canada thing, he was like, it's going to get over, it's going to connect such well heat in America for the reason of Americans think that they are so much better. Like Vince actually says to Bret, Americans think they're so much better than anyone else. I think Vince is just, he's that, if somebody could just turn his dial just a little bit, he'd get it.
It's good. It's good. When he hits self-awareness, it's going to be similar to the scene in Ratatouille where he eats the ratatouille.
Yeah, Peter O'Toole and the eyes just bug.
And just the intro to like Doctor Who where he just like goes backwards.
Oh, it's good about the opening scene in Akira. It's got that nuclear explosion.
Yes. It's just going to be he hits self-awareness, and for the rest of his day, he just screams. Just
like the Watchmen. We've done it in Dr. Manhattan. It would just become pure energy.
I think that's pretty much our review of Dave Taylor versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They intrinsically skipped it, like because when my only experience of David Taylor was watching 2006 era SmackDown as a wee lad and seeing this old man come out with William Regal. I'm just too old. Just get him off telly.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Like, who the fuck is this guy? Who is this guy with my man William Regal?
And yet he looks legit off. Like I would not besmirch this man face to face. He looks like he could stretch me 6 ways from Sunday.
He doesn't look like a wrestler. He just looks hard. I can't remember if he was on the mic in this. I don't think I've ever heard him on the mic, but he sounds a bit fucking like this. It's literally like WCW. It was a well-produced show, and then for some reason they picked up extras from Britain's Hardest Cunts off Channel 5.
You take a man who looks that serious and you stick him with a sidekick in a grey wig called Jeeves. It's like you've automatically just taken any sort of shoot ability off the man. You've kneecapped him.
I went for him. I went for it, man, because he looks fucking silly. So imagine that he just comes out and just not even like he's booked to squash them. He just squashes them. That's all he can do.
His entrance music, well, Steven Regal's and David Taylor's entrance music, it's the same entrance music. It reminded me of that bit from Anchorman 2 when there's the big gang fight and Sacha Baron Cohen is like, in the name of Margaret Thatcher on behalf of the BBC. It's like, that was all I could think of. It's like, damn, I really want to watch Anchorman 2 right now.
It was just ridiculous. Yeah. Just the most fucking hillbilly angle ever. Going on to I can't shoot on the William Regal match because he comes out, he's the hardest cunt for like a minute, and then the referee sadly disqualifies him for being too hard a cunt.
Billy Kidman is just, I mean, okay, fair enough. He was never a big guy, but it is genuinely like he looks about 5 foot tall next to William Regal. It is shocking.
It's just like watching a little boy get beaten up.
Yeah, bitch.
listen here, Cupcake. I'm William fucking Regal.
I love the accent you used as like a character from Rise of the Foot Soldier, despite the fact that Steven Regal is like from nowhere near there.
He's from the same place as me.
Ah, but you've given him an Essex accent.
Yeah, 'cause he's fucking hard cunt. Him and Dave Taylor.
Yeah. Billy.
Billy.
They should have really formed a Snatch style, a Guy Ritchie stable.
See, because like Lock, Stock and that was like really big in the US. Why did that never come to fruition? That they just got some fucking.
They had some guy who looked like Vinnie Jones who would just come out and like readjust the collar on his leather jacket when he came out of the ring.
Just some fucking jobber hard cunts from like Bin Man Wrestling over in fucking like Essex or something. Like, and just put him into a Vinnie Jones stable.
But here's the thing, Vinnie Jones did do a couple of appearances with the WWF. You've got to think outside of like doing, was it Juggernaut and the X-Men, like they probably could have got him on a contract for a wee while, like.
That'd have been fucking Guy Ritchie producing the WWF. That would have been fucking sick.
Yes.
Instead of like give him the chair like fucking Triple H, just give me that shooter. Just every Raw and SmackDown totals to 5 hours a week, and it's just cunts getting shot.
I like to imagine them using like the steel steps, like the top of the sunbed in that scene from Lockstock. It's like, mate.
It's like a car just parked on the entrance, randomly just slamming someone's fucking head in the door every week.
Triple H has no idea the career he could have had.
Like Triple H with the Nando's haircut with the skin fade at the side, that would have been immense. It would have been immense.
No, but if he was a geezer, man, he'd just have a skinhead. Skinhead, bulldog tattoo.
Not a two-man power trip, just two cans.
Big sheepskin jacket.
With the fucking mega powers, you can't.
He would be the first wrestler I ever saw actually beat a man unconscious with the belt. Like just smacking him that arm.
That'd be fucking sick.
It would be.
Right, okay. Like British wrestling is starting to come back as well. So there needs to be like just a fucking geezers wrestling championship.
Who actively refuses to take off the brass knucks despite the rev.
We just go round to some fucking pub and just get the hardest looking cunts and put them in a ring. It's like bum fights meets the WWE.
Hey, they're doing something like that just now on
Raw
Underground.
Underground.
Oh, is that?
That's like they're trying to go for that 1997 shotgun Saturday night feel, innit? That's all that is. That's what that reminds me of. Oh, we have veered so far away from WCW, haven't we?
What we all want is for Donald Trump to lose in November.
We do. We're very left wing, despite the fact that we don't sound it.
We are very left wing people.
Yes.
Apart from Cammy, because he's not here to defend himself.
He is a total Alex Jones libertarian type. Feel free to dunk on him at any chance.
Cammy's too busy at his local Tesco ripping mass off people.
Please at Final Level on Twitter and call him a dumb fuck.
He is screaming about 5G corona waves in Sainsbury's as we speak.
We have to edit the podcast every week because he won't stop talking about Kane being part of QAnon and how Kane is going to take down the global cable of paedophiles.
Maybe that's original.
I'm looking forward to Donald Trump losing because I guarantee on the Raw the Monday after he will appear on it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like, that's all I'm looking forward to is the Donald Trump Raw appearance.
Hey, it might be on it before. They might have like a debate in the ring with Joe Biden and
God.
Trump.
I'm positively chubbed thinking about it.
Here's a plan.
Bring
back Halloween Havoc and have them do a debate.
I thought you were going to say have Donald's face be the big pumpkin.
No, have the two of them do a debate in a Chamber of Horrors match. Lose on the electric chair.
Right, let's get on to our main event, shall we? Which is Luger and Sting versus Anderson and Flair. I have to say, after watching this, I've gained a whole new respect for Arn Anderson. I love the whole enforcer gimmick. Like, he looks so hard.
I think going back onto the subject of Regal and Taylor, in that Arn Anderson is the hardest cunt who ever lived.
Yeah.
I have to say, Luger, like, because the last time we saw him was at In Your House Triple Header when he was part of the Allied Powers. He looks so much more interested here than he did when he was working under the Fed. Yeah. So good for Luger.
Fucking over is he as well?
And all he does is scream and flex. It's like his ultimate dream. It's perfect.
I mean, we have spoke about the crowd of hillbillies, so maybe they're just a bit more easily impressed by Lex Luger. Like, I can never do it right, but you know the trick where you go like this with your thumb? Like, you could just have someone like Goldberg come out and just do, and just have the most fucking biggest pop ever.
You see it with us?
Like, you could just have some heel do got your nose with one in the crowd and they would just lose their fucking shit.
Yeah, start throwing drinks and try to jump the barrier and all sorts.
Stop booing this guy because he's got his fucking nose. Come and get your fucking nose.
Of course, I forgot, like, we're constantly reminded throughout this episode that we're only 6 days removed from Great American Bash, where we're going to get the swerve of all time, brother.
I felt like ringing up my cable company and just verbatim what they say on TV. But like, hello, Virgin Media, I want to play with the big boys this Sunday. Like, I like actually how aggressive, like, threatening the marketing was. It's like, don't be a fucking pussy your whole life. Ring up your fucking cable company and get your mother, because you probably fucking live with her, to buy the Great American Bash for you. You fucking piece of shit.
It's essentially if Cobra Kai had a wrestling company.
Yeah.
I was fully expecting the phone number no longer active, like thing for if you want to, pre-book.
I like the idea that the phone number is still active and I can still get the 1996 Great American Bash.
Yeah, Vince McMahon's still hoping people phone up and you can actually order it.
Yeah.
Separate from the network.
I've just recently rewatched Line of Duty, so maybe I'm on that vein. Because you'd ring up the escort and be like, "I've got a betting tip for you," and they'd come give you a burner phone or some shit. You ring up and you go to order in your house the Lumberjacks, and you say, "No, I really want to watch the Lumberjacks," and Vince McMahon will show up at your house with a burner phone and will read out scripts to you.
It's going to be like that skit from Family Guy when Peter writes like the thank you note to Craig T. Nelson and he tips over the Tipex and it's just kill Craig T. Nelson. Vince McMahon is going to turn up at your house with a handgun saying make it quick.
The Line of Duty thing, you take a shot at the king, you better not miss.
Yeah.
Vince is just going to have one bullet hole in the eye and just like horrible and just walk off.
It's going to be like Terminator. It's going to be like. It's there's not going to be steel behind there. It's just going to be this vortex of wrestling ideas.
Just the gobbledygook will like escape out of the fucking hole in his eye.
And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the big post-match stinger at the end, the debut of Diesel. Well, can't call him Diesel. I have to call him. We can't call him. We're not calling him anything yet.
We need to get on board where I can just like bleep you out.
Notice Scott Hall is still doing the Cuban accent.
Yes.
Very intentionally. They definitely wanted to blur the lines. I can understand why Vince had his lawyers on the phone.
This is done brilliantly because you've got Scott Hall coming out and you see you just think
he's still doing Razor.
Kevin Nash comes out and he's just deriding the product. He's just like, this is where the big boys play. This is WCW. This product's rubbish. This company's shit. You know what I mean? You don't get that for a heel slagging the place he works, especially at this time. It was very, very unique. You could believe that these guys genuinely were there to fuck shit up. Apart from the fact that Bischoff picks up the microphone to speak to them.
Well,
just being a good host, man. Hello, boys.
It's not even that. Hogan, Kevin like motherfucks Hogan as well. At the end of it, you go and get that old dinosaur. What is he? Is he busy filming, Blunder in Paradise and that as well? It's like I would thought for sure Terry would have not going to work for me, brother.
Unless it was just a case of fuck it, let's not tell Terry we're going to do that.
Yeah, Terry wasn't even watching anyway. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he was on vacation during this. We can tell.
But the thing is, I remember watching the first Nitro I ever seen was Outsiders had already formed at that point. I don't know if the Great American Bash must have happened, and they jumped the barrier with baseball bats, and they went towards the ring, and police came out of the ring and put their hands on guns. And I remember watching this, a wee guy thinking, Jesus Christ, how legit is this? And I remember having this strange fallacy when I was a kid that WWE, yeah, that's probably fake, but WCW, that was real. And I'm talking about the early 90s. People believe that. Because WCW, although looking back now, it's fucking ridiculous. You had blood and matches and stuff like that. There was something more real about it because you had
I think when you look at the trajectory of the Fed as well, is that despite the fact they were trying to be a bit more raw. WWF was still quite cartoony, and WCW was. Looking back, it's all fucking wrestling. It's all pomp and bluster. But WCW looked a bit more legit. Like the fact that, if Goldberg did the streak on Raw, it wouldn't have been as legit as if it was on WCW, because it was like this big strong guy comes out, squashes cunts. On Raw, it would just be a case of, oh, he's the big strong man who hurts people.
Yeah, because I mean we have to talk about the roster, especially at this time. You've got Lex Luger, Sting, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Hulk Hogan, Big Show. You know, you have everybody, and on WWF side, you've got Michaels, who's the newly appointed champion. You've got Undertaker, and you've got you don't even have Bret Hart because Bret's on holiday at this point.
Yeah.
He doesn't get back to Survivor Series. It's there's the old thing about we've often been told through like the WWE documentaries. It's almost kind of like revisionist history. It's like, how did WCW beat us for 83 weeks? They were straight garbage. And then you would watch an episode of Raw from this exact time, and you watch an episode of Nitro, and I think Nitro's making a really strong tool.
I looked at the comparative, the Monday Night Raw for this day, and it was 3 King of the Ring qualifying matches, and I think one of them was.
No, I tell a lie. They brought back Ultimate Warrior for like 3 weeks, and then they realised that they couldn't wrangle him, so he left.
Remember Warrior was coming out smoking cigars and things like that?
Yeah, and he came out with a big Warrior baseball cap because he didn't want Jerry to hit him with pretend glass. So yeah. So I mean, yeah, as far as introductory Nitro episodes go, that was pretty solid.
I could easily watch more Nitro, to be fair.
I could, unless you want to jump about in time and we could do like Judgment Day 2007 or something.
I think we need to punish ourselves at some point and maybe watch Hulk Hogan and Mr. Nanny.
No, I'm pulling my creative control clause. That's not going to that's
what
not going to work out.
Vince Russo era Nitro.
Yes.
I think we need to watch some shit.
We have to watch like New Blood Rising 2000 or 2001 or whatever.
Seriously, see when you had Vince was coming in, he basically retconned Nitro.
Yeah, because they took the titles off them. They
basically reset all the storylines. And all I honestly, there's scenes in this when there's one with Bagwell and he goes to the camera and says, "Did I do a good job for you or so?"
Oh man, yeah. Let's have some messy fucking drama.
Right, guys, we have to do this.
Fucking do this.
Let's do a New Blood Rising. Right, boys, I'll wrap it up here and now. We've had some fun. Right, until next time.
If you enjoyed listening, why?
Right, guys.
Goodbye. God bless.
Yeah.